Well, hello everybody. I hope you are doing well at home. In a moment, I'm going to have my friend Jenny join me. She lives in the Tuscany region in Italy. And when this whole thing started, hey Jenny. And Jenny, if you just want to request to join, perfect. And like I said, when this whole thing started, I wanted to find out as much as possible about what was going on. And I reached out to my friend Jenny. Hi.
Hey.
And Jenny and I, for everyone watching or watching this later, we used to work together many years ago at the EEOC, and I knew she was in Italy. And so when all of this was happening, of course, I, had to reach out, make sure you were okay, and just find out like what was really going on. So Jenny, just to kind of start right off, when did you realize, take us through your story, when all of this started to happen?
I think, well, I went to Atlanta for Christmas, and so I was at my parents' house, and right after we returned after New Year's, everything sort of blew up, and it was, it was about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. We went to dinner to celebrate a friend's birthday, and that night there were the first cases in northern Italy, and nobody really thought that much of it. People continued to travel abroad, travel throughout Italy, because they heard it was just like a flu, and so it would be okay. I think it was about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, it became apparent that it wasn't just, a problem in Lombardia. It was everywhere, and it was just a foregone conclusion that it would hit the rest of Italy and then probably eventually everywhere else.
Yeah. So what region are you in specifically? How far away are you from Lombardia?
We're pretty far. I mean, pretty far in terms of like Atlanta standards. It's like, it would be like oh, just drive to Columbus. But,
okay.
but for Italy, it's relatively, it's a long distance, so it's about 3.5 hours, I think, by car. A train 2 hours.
Yeah, I remember this like really poignant post you made. It was like, when I moved to Italy, I was afraid that, politically or some other reason, our travel restrictions, would be put in place. We couldn't travel as freely. I never expected it to be a respiratory disease. So what has life been like since this lockdown, essentially? Is everyone on lockdown in Italy? Like, can you leave your house? What's the story? What's going on?
So it's strange because Italians are even, I would say, they like to be outdoors, and they're always out. Like my father-in-law is always at the bar, which isn't like a bar in the U.S. where you're just drinking shots. It's usually old men drinking coffee and playing cards. But he's always at the bar. So the idea for like an Italian to not be able to spend time out and about is like traumatic, I feel like, for them. But it's, we're not on lockdown, but you can't really leave your house except for to buy groceries or go to the pharmacy, but people are allowed to like exercise outside. So fortunately, I went on a run this morning, for instance, which without being able to at least go on a walk or run outside, I think you'd probably lose your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So all schools are closed, stores are closed. When you go to the grocery store now, is it a different situation? Like, do you have to wait? Do they like only allow a certain number of people in? Because they're talking about that here, but we're not anywhere near that yet.
So yeah, I mean, everyone's supposed to wait in a line 1 meter apart, and they only allow a certain number of people in the store at once. So yeah, there's lines to get into the stores. And technically per household, only one person is supposed to be able to buy groceries. As far as I understand, I could be wrong.
Wow. So when you go to the store now, is it still kind of like that panic buying? Because that's where we're at now. I think we're about 11 days behind Italy is what is all the data that I've read. And you go to the store now and it's tense, it's packed, you've got lines out of Costco. So we're kind of in the early stage. When you go now into the stores in Italy, what's the feel like?
Well, I think I think it's about the same. You know, there are a lot of items, like for instance, 2 weeks ago, you couldn't find hand sanitizer anymore.
Yeah.
Even on Amazon, you couldn't find it. On Prime, there was no thing. There was hand sanitizer. I was just like, how am I writing it the wrong way in Italian? Because I can't find it anywhere.
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
same thing, vitamin C. You can't find vitamin C anywhere in the grocery stores. But even online, like last week, I put vitamin C in my Amazon cart, thinking, okay, I'll just buy it later because, you know, and it more than doubled in a day, the price of this same jar of vitamin C. So, but in the grocery stores, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of toilet paper purchasing from a lot of people. And like, you know, there are certain things you just can't find right now, like like I said. And then even little things like, you know, flour is one of those things that a lot of people like to buy, or meats. So meat shelves have been a little less stocked. And then like flour, there's only, usually like in Italy, there's like 50 different brands of flour, 50 different types, but right now there's one.
Wow. So what, I mean, have you been able to speak with your neighbors, or like, what's the community vibe where you live? Is it a small community? Are people just shut away?
People don't it was actually, you know, and that's why I was in the garden before, but the sun was so bright that I was like, I can't really see myself. I can't really think. And I have D11s really bad right now. No, but no, the people are outside in their gardens. They're trying to let their kids spend as much time outside. You know, you see people going on walks. So, and people smile at each other, which is really nice, and they greet each other. So I think people are trying to stay positive. You know, there's these little signs that kids will do at home that say, tutto andrà bene, or something like that. I wish I actually had taken a photo. I didn't, but you know, which means like everything's going to be okay. And so, and like with a little rainbow, and like all the houses with kids, they have it outside their door. So it's really, or like on their terrace or something. So yeah, I think people are staying pretty positive and, trying to stay sane. You know, there's a yoga studio around the corner, or like not around the corner. It's in another town, but they're doing virtual classes to try to just like stay involved. So I think people are
adjusting.
Yeah, adjusting.
Why do you think people in Italy and really around the world didn't take this as seriously as they maybe should have? Like, we'd all seen images coming from Wuhan. We had seen, you know, the epidemic and the what was happening to their hospital system. Why do you think the rest of us just kind of shrugged it off?
I hate to say this, because I can't pretend to be as informed as I would like to be on this issue, but I feel like part of it is that there's this stereotype that China is dirty, or that China is, you know, they eat weird meats. And so it's a Chinese problem. It's not a global problem. And I feel like everyone sort of took that approach for a really long time and assumed it could be contained because Italy's clean. Everyone's clean here. Like the houses are immaculate. And so I think that a lot of people had that assumption, you know, in the US, everyone uses hand sanitizer. It can't be a problem here because we all wash our hands. And I think that, you know, just a racial stereotype, I hate to say that because we worked at the EEOC. I know. But I really feel like that lended us to a lot of ignorance about this condition, about this disease.
Absolutely. So if you had any kind of message for the Americans who are approximately 11 days behind you and what your country has been going through, your family, your in-laws and all of that, your community, what would that message be? What can we do starting today to avoid some of the pitfalls that has befallen Italy?
Well, I would say try to leave the house as little as possible, or as little as possible. If you have an employer that could be at all flexible, try to insist on having flexible work hours or being able to telecommute until this all passes.
And go for runs, apparently, to stay sane.
Yeah, get out of the house a little bit, but not too much. Yeah, maybe a little bit of home yoga, home practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, so if there were one major takeaway you want anyone listening to or watching this now, or you know, doing the playback, what would that be? You're in it right now. You're in Italy. You're in the fight. What do you want them to walk away with?
What do I want people to walk away with?
Yeah, I mean, question. I know, it's a big one.
I think to stay calm, because it's going to be okay. You know, just try to find some peace at home, and then, you know, maybe enjoy it. Even enjoy a little bit of time with your families and in your houses. and it'll pass.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. I'm so glad that you're okay. You're healthy. You're making the best of it. You seem healthy.
You never know.
Yeah. Well, and keep us updated too. Like I'll be reaching out and making sure, just kind of following along and, keep us updated, because I think the whole world right now is kind of watching and wondering what's next. What are we all going to do? So to hear your voice of calm and positivity, I think is really a gift. So thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Yeah.
I've missed you. Huh?
I know. Same. I'm same. You look exactly the same.
Yeah, you do too. Well, in spite of these,
Oh.
whatever.
All right. Well,